What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Sorry it's been a while, but it is what it is. If you followed my last two videos ago about the tornado and getting the storm shelter put in, we ordered one. It's 3 months out, so we got maybe, I don't know, about 6 more weeks yet till it'll get here. Yeah, I ended up finding a local septic company to build it. Apparently they do this pretty often, so they end up taking like 2 large septic systems and they make it into one and have a little door and stuff like that with it. So right now I'm just kind of waiting for it. So but I got most of the dirt work done behind the house and all that, which I will show you guys probably in the next video. But today it's not about that. Today I received my MTS sliders, which I have been wanting ever since I bought this car with the Walker Evans. Nobody made them except for Shock Armory or Shock Armor, something like that. But I don't like their design. You just wrap a thin piece of stainless around it and glue it. I just don't feel like that's gonna last. Plus, if you ever adjust your ride height, if you get a cage or add a lot of weight, you're gonna have to, yeah, we got a random cat. It won't leave. But anyways, you wanna say hi? Alright, just kidding. Anyways, I don't like the Shock Armor setup because if you do a cage, add a lot of weight, you're gonna have to heat them up, take them off, either cut them, trim them of some kind, or have to order new ones. So I just don't like that design. And I've been waiting for somebody to come out with the design that I thought would work the best. And sure enough, it's MTS, and that's who I have my suspension through anyways. But this design is so much better. Today I am going to attempt to install. So I didn't really think about making a video of this until I got to this phase, which I literally just pulled the shock off and stuck it in here. I didn't clean anything yet. But if you don't know how to do that, then you probably shouldn't even own a razor. What you actually get in the kit, in case you guys are wondering, get those, these. So you get the rear sliders, stainless things, which I'm not sure if I like that. That's rusting up already. So it must be like, I think it's like 409 stainless that does that, like pretty much immediately. So I don't know if I like that idea yet, but with power washing and off-roading, I guess it'll be all right. If that's the only rust on the car, I would be surprised. Oh well. But yeah, you get the 2 crossover or retaining nut things, O-rings, little screws that I will probably Loctite the heck out of. These are, I actually bought these from a hardware store. They replace these little rubber grommets or O-rings. They like to crack and fall off. I replaced 2 of them already, but they did not come with the kit. I just thought I would pull them out in case I needed them, since I'm pulling the shocks off anyways. But so far this shock looks fine. And then of course the front gets the same treatment. It's got the same stuff, but just a smaller diameter. The only issue is, shut up. The only issue that I found is the front forks, which I didn't even think about this, which it is what it is. I'd still order this kit anyways. I just got to figure out how to do it, but that is too small of a diameter to go over the shock fork. So I got to take the shock fork off the strut, or off the whatever. I guess that's the strut. I don't know. The rod of the shock rod, whatever the heck it's called, to slide this up in. And then I gotta, I guess probably red Loctite that back on really tight. So I've never done this, but I'm really hoping pinching this in my little rubber jaws really tight. And then I did just buy one of these. So I don't know why, I've never had one before, but finally bought one. So according to Shock Therapy, thank you for making an install video on shock fork swapping. They said to just use like a torch and heat it up really well, and then they should just come off. We're going to see how this goes. I got to clean all the threads up really good, and then I did rent a spring compressor, so I got to do this whole deal, because when I put the MTS springs on, I needed a spring compressor. I did a ratchet strap on one of them and decided that was a really stupid idea. I didn't want to do that again. So the rears are not near as hard as the front. Front are way more compressed. But yeah, we'll get started on this and see how it goes. I can't find any instructions. They gave me a little QR code thingy. Yeah, they give you this in the box, which it just takes it to measurements and spring and tender installs. I think the limit strap installs. They don't have any install instructions on the sliders. So I don't even know, to be honest, if these crossover rings stay or if they go, because there are little set screws on this. I don't know if this just goes to them or if it replaces them. So yeah, and there's nothing on their website that I can find, nothing on the internet. I looked on Facebook pages, there's nothing anywhere. So we'll cross that bridge when we get in there. I don't really know. You just take a big old screwdriver in there and jam it between here and the bump stop. You can just work it down and out of the way. I got a better idea. Screw that. Oh, yeah. Oh no. Or maybe it's not a better idea. It got crooked on me. Okay, so literally that can fall right out, and that's it. Set that little rocket ship out of the way. That off. This guy off. Alright. Ew. They're almost the same height, but these are all set a little bit more to give a little bit more up here, which I assume is for like full droop, so this doesn't come out the top. It's kind of a little extra material so it stays inside, which is pretty cool. I think what I'm gonna do, it does state on their website crossover rings and sliders, so I believe they are wanting these to be replaced by this collar, or this crossover ring that you get with all the little screws that this goes together, and then it locks into these grooves here because it has like the little thingies. But for added security, I don't know, there's a lot of pressure on this, and for those little screws, but yeah, they're not going to hurt nothing to be up here. This is all wasted space, so I think that's what I'm going to do. I am just going to run them down, set this right here at these heights, at this height here, and then I'll run those back up once this is tight. So, all right, cool. That's what I'm going to do. Anyways, so you can buy a nice fancy tool that takes these off or loosens them, but I'm cheap, so I don't do that. I do have a brass rod, which is probably too small of a diameter to bust these loose, but we'll find out. But if you use like a steel punch, it's gonna really mess this up because these are all aluminum and soft. But, almost forgot. WD-40 is your friend with this. do that first. Then, make sure to go the wrong way first, so then you make them super tight. Alright, yeah, they go this way. Never mind. I outsmarted it. Yay! Alright. Think. Something like that. These have, I don't know if you can see it, a little lip and a little groove on one side. So that locks into this upper edge right here. So you want to make sure that you have the groove with the flange on the top, and then like the little 3 sections that are raised with the thread will stick through these slots. So it kind of clips in. So something like that. I need to set my height, which I'm gonna go to about 3.5 inches. I'm gonna lock this thing in here. And you wanna go to where your spring sits. I went too far. All right. Right there is 3.5, so that should be more than enough. Now I gotta lock those things in. All these little screws. I'm gonna blue Loctite those. Get a wrench first, you idiot. So they are English or standard, whatever you want to call it. Three 30 seconds. Okay. I forgot something. Never even noticed these O-rings. Dang it. These gotta go somewhere. Where do they go? Alright. Well, I get to take it all back off, I guess. Where the heck does that go? Alright, I have no idea where the O-ring goes. I took this all apart. I don't see anything that would need an O-ring. Oh, well. I know where the O-ring goes. Okay. It's not in the nut that I was thinking it was going to be in. I just now figured out, I think. I'm assuming it goes in here somewhere around the thread to keep this centered. Because these collars, there's nowhere for it, and it made no sense to have it there. But that would make sense because this has a little play. So you want that to be centered. I'm sure. So yeah, that's what, at least that's where they're going. Whether or not that's it, I don't know. But that's what I'm gonna do with it. Okay. If it's wrong, then somebody can tell me in the comments that I did it wrong. But I don't think I am. I think this is where it goes. So that's what I'm gonna do. Where it goes exactly on here, I don't know, but probably towards the front and the top. Ish. Alright, yeah. So I'm going to go down maybe about an inch. Because this won't move. That stays. So, well, I don't know. About a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch, something like that. Okay. I think that's it. I'm going to stick with that because I think that's where it goes. Alright, pretty sure it just moved, but oh well. Okay, yeah. That's where the O-ring goes. Now you know. Okay, now we're in business. That's a lot better. Now it's a consistent gap. That's where they go, I guarantee it. Might as well, I'll jam that down too, I guess. Alright. That actually locked in pretty good. Alright. I'm good with that. I guess that's it. New dividers. Yeah, that has about a 1/4 inch overlap, so that should be yeah, it won't come out of there, so that should be good. All right, now my rocket ship here. Okay. All right, send her home. You can push that rubber bump stop back up if you really want to, but I think I might just leave it there. It's a good way to also tell if you are bottoming out at all when you ride. If you leave your bump stop a little bit down off, or you can push them the whole way up if you want to, and then on your normal riding that you do, you can kind of see where they stop because they'll just get pressed down with this shock body. So if you want your ride to be as soft as it possibly can be, at all times, see where that's kind of stopping at, and then you should be able to adjust your suspension from there, and it'll plus your ride if you want. But all right, that's it. So I'm not going to record the second side because it's identical, so I'm just going to do that, and then I'll get to the front here and I'll do one with you guys, and we'll learn how the front go, which I assume is the same, but except for the fork, I gotta figure out how to take that off, so that'll be an experience. So all right, I'll be back with you when I get to the front. Make sure you move the bump stop out of the way, and then this will come right out. Take the rocket ship off. Be good. Owie. way. Anyways. You'd think I'd have known how to do that. I already had these off once when I put these on. Alright. Ew. Well, I'm gonna move this way out of the way so I don't bend or melt it. Well, I'm gonna pull it out, clean it off a little bit, and I gotta clamp it in here somehow, and hopefully this won't be too bad. Please, please. Oh, we got it. Okay, there we go. That was kind of scary. It's really hot. And a lot of Loctite. Dang. Boom. Now what? I don't really want to lay this on, I guess I'm gonna put this on. I don't know, I'm really weird about laying really hot steel on cold concrete or something. Maybe it would be fine, but I don't know. I don't want it to go through a shock and like crack the aluminum or something crazy. Okay, so now clean the threads. O-ring, because, oh, that's hot too, now that I remembered. Something like that. They clip in very nicely, at least. At least there's that. Okay. All right. Right there about. It really doesn't have to be to the thousands, but closer or better. I'm going to rotate this a little so I can get to my Allens there. I think that's it. Make sure you put the logos correct when you put them back in, or else it'll forever bug you like it did me. Okay, new slider. Really, MTS?
One eternity later.
New day. I was very confused with the dividers that I received because they are an inch too small diameter for the front compared to stock. So I knew when I ordered the kit that the front dividers needed to be kind of like machined out or honed out to fit the new sleeve. So when I got the full kit, these that they provided, the rears were fine, they fit fine, but the fronts, they were really tight. So I was like, oh, okay, that's easy. So I ended up just having like a little sanding wheel, and I went through here and opened this up. So it made them nice and smooth. And then when I went to assemble, I realized that they're not even the right diameter. So I had to wait till Monday, call them and see what was going on here, if they sent me the wrong ones or what the deal was. And they said that the kit wasn't supposed to come with the front dividers. He doesn't know why these were in the box, but these are trash, they're the wrong size. So he says what they meant was the original dividers needed to be machined out to fit this stainless sleeve. I misunderstood. I thought it came with everything. So after we got that resolved, I realized like it needed to be, it was like 150 thousandths that needed to come off the inside diameter of this to accept the stainless sleeve. So I have a buddy at a machine shop, so I gave him these and this and said this needs to be a loose fit. So he ended up setting this up and machining both of the dividers to accept the stainless sleeve. For the average person that doesn't have a machine shop or doesn't have the capabilities, you're gonna have to, as of right now, you're gonna have to find somebody or come up with your own way to open these up a little bit to accept the stainless sleeve. They are, when I talked to them, they've been having a lot of issues trying to get these made correctly. So he said as of that point, which was last week now, it would have been about 8 more weeks until they got their prototype in. And then after that, if they're good, then they got to go in production. So it could be another month or 2 after that before they'll have them on their website available. Well, I don't feel like waiting that long. I already got the rears done, the front's all tore apart. So I was like, well, this is what they recommend as of right now. He says the little bit of material that you're taking out isn't going to jeopardize the strength of this. So I got the shock fork off. So there's that. Just for the record, a 14-ounce bottle, if you use no extra, it'll use about a half a bottle per fork, at least what I found, because I used up this entire bottle and I kind of had difficulties getting it broke loose. And with a long flat screwdriver that fit in there and then a pretty good sized hammer, I couldn't get it by hand, but I ended up smacking the handle with the hammer and it broke it loose then. So I don't recommend doing this any more than you have to. So as I was heating it up, I started brainstorming about like metals and, you know, the heat treating processes and the cooling processes and the molecules and all that fun stuff in metals. So I started doing some Googling, and I don't really know what material those forks are. I'm assuming they're some kind of a cast aluminum. And according to Google, from what I was seeing, it's not good to heat those up like really hot, like 700 degrees and higher, something like that. Well, I don't know how hot they were, but they were smoking hot. And I mean, obviously half the bottle in that one designated area. And according to the internet, if you get it like above 500, 600, 700 degrees, they lose their strength, making the metals more fragile. So if that's true, I just weakened the heck out of those shock forks putting these on. So I ordered the MTS shock forks, the billet ones, because at the end of the day, if you put those back on and you go out riding and they end up snapping, well, there's a big problem, because the shock fork, maybe a ball joint, probably an axle, I mean, I don't know, all kinds of things can break if that shock fork fails, depending on where you're at. Also, where we ride, it's a long ride back out to the trailer. So when they get here, I'll be able to slam this back together. But for right now, I'll at least get these all set, and then this part's done. Okay, so now they're set, that's set. Now, O-ring, I believe. Yeah. Slide this guy on. Like that. Okay. I think that's about as far as I can go. I'll catch up with you guys in a few days when I receive them. All right, guys, finally, I received my MTS shock forks. Like I stated originally, I wasn't really sure about the strength of these to begin with because they're known to be fairly weak. And after heating them up as hot as I had to get them taken off the shock shaft, I really questioned the strength of them even more. So I decided to just go with the MTS fork. And so anyways, they finally just came. So unboxing. Hopefully we can get this thing back together today. Dang, it's stapled? Okay. Okay, nothing extra, just two shark forks. Okay. Wow. Quite the difference. Yeah. So, yeah, cool. So the original, the shock shaft just sat on top, which is like a really bad shear point, which makes sense. MTS has a raised embossment, I guess. So the shock shaft should fit down through here very snug, and it will help with the shearing strength of it. I did see a couple other manufacturers, in particular the RPM. I looked at those, they were like $50 cheaper, but they said that you have to put your springs on before you put your fork on because it's too big of a diameter. Well, that would be very tricky to, I mean, you'd have to compress the springs like crazy to clamp the shock shaft in the vise, put this on, and then release all the springs. I just didn't want to go through that. Also, if you ever change your springs or something, then you got to go through all this again. I'm not doing that. So these, no problem. Excellent. So these come apart. Good deal. Well, let's try to get this thing put together here and get the car back in running order. All right, guys, that was a mess. Off camera because I was getting very angry, so I just decided to turn it off for a moment. But these did not fit at all. So the ID that's supposed to slide over the shaft was a hair too small. Put some grease on the threads and on this ID, and it helped to get it started just to make sure they actually go on. Well, they went about halfway on. This hole was tapered. So it's very common in the machining world for like an ID bore to be tapered a little bit, but that's what quality is for. And, you know, reskimming and going back in and verifying, like, you know, that's the same diameter the whole way through. But I guess they don't do that because I had about a 2/1000 taper from the top of this board to the bottom. It was about 2/1000 difference. And that's one of the problems. As it was going on, it started to bind up. So I ended up using a Dremel. I took my Dremel with my little sand disc here, sanding wheel, and I just went the whole way into the bottom and went around a little bit to open it up. So now it's the same diameter the whole way through, and now it fits. Both of them were like that, both of them. So I heated this one up with the heat gun just to make it warm, thinking maybe it was that close of a tolerance. If I warmed it up, it might just go right on. That was not the case. So that was a waste of time. But yeah, so they need to address their tolerances for sure. But anyways, I just test fitted both of these. They actually fit now. A very important part, I think, is measure the shoulder down to that shoulder inside where the shock will bottom out. Make sure you have it threaded the whole way. So then this will basically cover up your Sharpie mark, because you want to make sure this bottoms out for sure. If you're not threaded the whole way, that'll cause all kinds of problems, more than likely. But we are now at the phase of red Loctiting, more than likely. Yeah, I'm gonna red Loctite it. And a lot of it. Little tap action there. Okay. I think that's it. And if you're wondering how tight the vise needs to be, I think you got your answer there, at least with 2x4s. Okay. One complete. Pretty. Okay, number 2, up over my line. That's it. Break the shock yet. Okay. That was way more involved than I would have liked it to have been, but this is a way better design. So, okay, let's get to putting springs on. Make sure you put your logos correct, or else it'll drive you crazy forever if you're like me. Okay, there's that. I don't know why, but if you mix and match these, they don't seem to snap together as nice. So I tried to find the same ones. Okay, there's that. Oh, shoot. Oh. All right, guys, that's it. I'll slam the other one together. All right, I ran out of battery again. Anyways, I don't know what you guys call it, where it stopped, but I got my last shock finished on the front. So now all I gotta do is throw them back together, hook up my limit straps, and then it should be it. I love the MTS limit strap system. That makes it so much nicer. No more, no more clunking every time you go over a bump, and it smooths everything out, which is really nice. But I also bought something else, so I'm in the process of doing that as well. But boom, got me some Rhino 2.0 axles, and I got all 4. So I got to do the rears yet. Get them on. Full Super ATV Rhino driveline, because I already did the prop shaft the whole way through. I don't think you can really see it, but it's in there. I did that, I think last winter or early spring I put that on. So The Turbo R has a very weak drive shaft to begin with. And if you're running 35 stickies and doing the kind of riding that we do, it's not good. And it already showed stress on the welds. All the paint was gone on the welds and it looked like it almost broke already. I have a buddy that had one just like this and it's broke. So, should be pretty stout now, I hope. So we'll get the forks, or we'll get the shocks back on. Got to get the rear axles in, and that'll be it. But at least now you know what not to do and what to maybe expect. It's definitely not easy. But anyways, hey, if you guys are still here, thank you. If you want, you can subscribe, like, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff, because we have a lot of things happening here on the property. A lot of riding coming. This is getting into the fall, so this is prime time for riding. So I'm going to soon park the tractor and get back in the RZR and do more riding. We do have a pretty good ride coming up in about 2 weeks, so we'll see if we can't record some of that and show you guys the kind of stuff that we do down here. But anyways, with that, I'll see you guys later.